Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV, and it's the third day of the Precious Metal Summit in Zurich. And it's now my honor and pleasure to talk to Northisle Copper and Gold, and Nick Van Dyk, the CFO, is here with us. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, perfect. Hope you too. How was the conference so far?
It's really good. We've had lots of meetings, lots of interest in our story. We're one of the few companies here that can point to a share price chart that's gone up over the last 12 months.
Then you are like a very rare species, I would say.
Yeah, thank you.
Super, great, fantastic. Glad to hear that. And I must say, I was also impressed when I looked at your website and on your project. I mean, copper, gold, and such amounts, that is really a lot. So tell us about the company in a short overview, please. First.
Sure. So Northisle has the North Island project. The North Island project sits on the north end of Vancouver Island. It's a very large porphyry belt. So it's a district scale project, 50 kilometers long. We stretch all the way from the past producing Island copper mine all the way up to our Northwest.Expo target, which is where we've recently been focused over the last 12 months. And on that property, we have 900 million tons of resources containing nearly 7 billion pounds of copper and nearly 7 million ounces, nearly 4 billion pounds of copper and 7 million ounces of gold. So a great project. We completed a preliminary economic assessment in 2021. The PEA had great economics, $1 billion NPV, 19% IRR, and a project with good cost structure, great infrastructure in the area on the North Island because of the past production. And our project is very accessible. So it's got a lot of features that will eventually support the development of the project. And we've got lots of geological prospectivity as well.
Okay, super. Yeah, development of the project. I think you're now going towards the pre-feasibility study. Is that correct?
So based on the market conditions, we've decided to focus on enhancing the project through the drill bit over the last several years. Our latest focus has been on the Northwest.Expo target, where most recently we drilled 130 meters containing over 2 grams per ton gold equivalent. And so that's mostly gold. Within that, there was a 15-meter intercept of a breccia containing over 5 grams per ton gold equivalent. And the breccia is interesting both because the grade is good, so it means that Northwest.Expo resource that we're defining is going to be good. But it also gave us information about there being potentially the porphyry, so a much larger system near the Northwest.Expo resource that we've been drilling out. So that's really been our focus in the short term, and we think that's going to strategically change the project from being, a copper option play to being a project with a gold enriched element that allows us to develop it in the short term.
Okay, super. So development in the short term, what would that mean time-wise?
So project development in BC is a well understood process, but it's a process where you have to be very deliberate. It needs community involvement. It needs government involvement. And so from today, probably hard to put a specific date on it because we're still trying to define the footprint of the Northwest.Expo target and how that's going to integrate with the rest of the project. If we were to start development today in earnest, it's about 4 years to a construction decision.
Okay, to construction decision. Okay, nice. I mean, you have definitely proven enough copper and gold, I would say, which justifies really a development. And would that mean that you could start with an open pit and then you later want to go underground, or how? What could be a game plan here?
Yeah, so the main deposits at the project are the Hushma and Red Dog deposits. They're both open pit deposits, bulk tonnage. The PEA was defined at a 75,000 ton per day throughput. If we were to perhaps include Northwest.Expo in some future study, we think we have an opportunity to define a much smaller footprint project, much lower initial capex, which makes it much easier to develop for an independent company. It also makes it more appealing to potential gold players that might be acquisitive or might be looking for copper exposure, because now you have a small scale gold starter operation that's something like 20,000 tons per day, might produce well over 100,000 ounces of gold per year. And then you can use that to stage into the larger copper operation over time. And we know from our experience that the gold producers have been really actively chasing copper exposure because they're seeing sort of...
Look at Barrick.
Yeah, Barrick's been out loud about it, right? And that's something that's changed over the last 12 months. When we met with these gold producers 12 months ago, the conversation was very apologetic, right? And they were sort of, copper's really interesting, but don't tell anybody that we're looking. And now it's out loud. So they're looking very aggressively to find copper exposure. And so having that gold project at the front end that helps us build into the bigger copper project really makes it interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I think also 2025 latest, I think the copper market, the imbalance is really falling off the cliff, meaning that the imbalance is really rising.
That's
because
right.
we need more and more and more copper, but we do not have those large projects available by now.
Absolutely.
Right? And you just said it, you need 4 years for the production decision, then you need to construct it also.
Right.
So we talk about 2030, probably, 2029, which might be then your production hopefully can start.
Yeah, so, ideally we're in a position to take advantage of that surge in copper demand that's been widely forecasted. I think this project has always had a good gold component. Even the core preliminary economic assessment had about a third gold by revenue. And so we can use that as a financing tool by streaming. We can use that. It keeps our costs low. So we expected the 2021 PEA to have all-in sustaining costs in the first quartile. So there's a lot of...
What means that exactly? What was it in the PEA? Because I saw you had a calculation was $3.25 for copper and $16.50 for gold.
That's right.
I found that quite conservative, to be honest.
Yeah, so that was sort of the long-term average forecast price when we did the PEA. We ran the NPV at spot prices at the time of the study. And those spot prices are also outdated now, but you can sort of take away that about a 10% increase in metal prices on average increases the NPV of the project by 30%. So we've seen a significant increase in the gold price from $16.50 to around $2,000 now. We've seen the copper price, it was $3.50 when we put the study out. It's approaching $4. And if you believe, as you said, there's this looming supply gap in copper.
I believe strongly in copper.
Yeah, right. Then we're looking at $5, $6, much, much higher copper prices, which will completely change the perspective on copper projects like ours. But the reason we've been focused on targets like Northwest-Expo and Goodspeed, which we haven't even spoken about, is another potential near-surface target for us. The reason we're focused on that is we're not the kind of people that want to sit around and just wait for the option to pay off, right? We're trying to create concrete value. As a team, we've done a good job managing our overheads. We've got among the lowest overhead of any company like us on the TSX venture. So, that's why I think we've been able to show some share price improvement where some other companies have struggled.
Yeah, and I think also your jurisdiction is key.
The jurisdiction is really, really positive for us. So, for example, the BC government's been very, very positive in its support for the mining sector. We're anticipating the release of a critical metal strategy by the BC government in the next several months. The First Nations in the area being Quatsino, Tlatalsiqua, and the Quaguth, there's 3 nations, have all, they're at varying levels of advancement of their own mining strategy, but they've all been very constructive in engaging with us and being supportive of what we're doing to date. So it's a really great place to be building a project.
Fantastic. As you are the CFO, let's talk about money. So what's cash in the bank? Are you financed for next year? And I think even more important, because I think the attractiveness of your project is very high for mid-size or even large companies. So how well are you protected for an unfriendly takeover?
Yeah, so I think we're really well positioned on a lot of fronts there. So we've had $6 million as of the end of June. So we're fully funded through the end of this year and well into next year. We have a lot of catalysts over the next several months. So we have something like 20 drill holes to be released before the end of the year. We have the inaugural resource estimate at our Northwest-Expo target to be released around the end of the year. We have metallurgical results from Northwest Expo, and this is all funded from the cash that we have today. So we're in a really good position as we head into next year. In terms of sort of the shareholder structure, so we have 4 individuals who own 40% of the company between them. They've been very, very supportive, and so we see ourselves well positioned, regardless of market conditions, to continue to advance the project. They've been willing to support us, whether smaller or larger financings. Michael Gentili is approximately 10% shareholder. Our chairman, Dale Corman, Donald K. Johnson, a former vice chair of BMO Capital Markets and known for his success in a number of business sectors. So really, really strong group of shareholders. And so that sort of answers our financing question, and it also answers our protection against unwanted M&A, right? So we have the ability to find the right path for the company because of that.
I think because you don't want to give a gem too cheap away, right?
I think Sam and I, the CEO, Sam and I are both investment bankers by training, and so at the right point, or with a sufficiently attractive offer, we're not going to be stuck to our chairs, but. We're also, we live in BC, we live, less than an hour's travel from the project site. So we're deeply invested in making this project a success for the communities, for the investors, and for everybody involved.
Yeah, finally, we all want to make money, right?
Well, yeah, I think, but all includes a wide group of people, right? I think the First Nations in the area
that's
also
very important.
Want to benefit from the development of the project, and I think that's something that we've really been focused on trying to do very well.
Yeah, and I think also with a future mind that we create jobs, taxes, development for the region. I think those are all those positive features, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a picture in our IR presentation of the local MLA, which is a provincial politician. Her name's Michelle Babchuk. She was in the recent town parade wearing a Northisle hat. So, she's very supportive. She's helped facilitate connections for us with other government ministers to enable us to be part of important dialogue around how projects like ours are supported in the province.
Fantastic. Super. Nick, thank you very much. Pleasure talking to you.
Great.
Keep it going because the world needs more copper, definitely. And I think you did so far everything right.
Great. Thanks, Jochen.
Thank you very much.
Very nice to meet you.
Very nice meeting you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Nick Van Dyk, the CFO of Northisle Copper and Gold. Yeah, you heard it. Fantastic project in the heart of Canada, in British Columbia, on the Vancouver Island. And it's a great thing here to be, and a fantastic jurisdiction. Copper is really on the run. A lot of market participants even did not understand that we are going into heavy deficits in copper in the future. And I think this will occur already by 2025. So this is a project which is really, really needed for the future. And on the other hand, they are financed. They have the money here in the bank by now. And also they have very, very strong shareholders. 40% are already in the hands of four individuals, which is fantastic. So they are also well protected, not to be taken over too cheap, because that's always my biggest fear on good projects. And check it out. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Switzerland.